Rise, Meg.
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So in yesterday's chapter 15 of The Mandalorian Season 2, an unexpected moment occurred during the refinery mission on Morak when Mayfeld and Din Djarin sought out Moff Gideon's coordinates. Mando removed his helmet. A lot of you have asked me in yesterday's full breakdown what this means and whether or not Mando is still considered a true Mandalorian after showing his face in The Believer. In this video, I'm going to explain why that moment is such a significant one going forward for the show, what it meant, and why I believe that Mando is still a Mandalorian after it. So we all know that there are different factions of Mandalorian creed who all have different rules and levels of strictness when it comes to adhering to the rules. Mando was of course rescued as a young child by a member of the Fighting Corps, which was a subgroup of the strict traditionalist cult called the Children of the Watch. Mando was raised as part of their tribe, and all he has known is the way as taught by members of the group who gave him a home after his rescue on Akvatina. In Season 1 and to an extent in the early parts of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, we saw the hardened traditional views of Din Djarin come out through his personality and the way he talked. When told to bring Grogu back to his own kind, he very much perceived it as a task at first, but after Chapter 11, The Heiress, there was a huge shift in his personality and views, and in my opinion, it's because he has had to have a change of heart about the creed he was brought up in. I believe that this is for many different reasons. Let's start with the most obvious one, Grogu. It can't be denied that secretly Mando does not want to part ways with the child, and I'm sure he is secretly hoping that Grogu does not want to be trained in the Jedi ways, but instead stays by Mando's side. This season, the underlying theme has been fatherhood, and Din Djarin loves and cares for Grogu as if he were his own son. On the outside, he tells his allies and people he runs into on his missions that he is quested to bring Grogu back to the Jedi, but deep down he probably can't stand the idea of losing the little green guy. This was most evident in Chapter 14, The Tragedy, and also in Chapter 15, The Believer. In the former, at the start of the episode before the two land on Tython, Mando is almost tearful in his monologue to Grogu, where he tells him that he's really special and that at the place that he belongs, they'll take really good care of him. In Chapter 15, on the other hand, we reach the peak of his demonstration of love for Grogu. He removed his helmet. Until that point, under no circumstances would Din Djarin ever let another living life form see him without his helmet. However, he knew that it was the only choice he had. He did it because of how much Grogu means to him, and he knew that if he didn't, he'd risk losing Grogu forever. If Mando truly viewed the return of the child to his kind as a mere task, he wouldn't have cared so much and likely given up. But like a father with a child, Mando has bonded with Grogu and nobody understands him like our titular character does. As exhibited in Chapter 13, The Jedi, Grogu doesn't listen to or trust anyone except for Mando. At the end of Chapter 15, when Mando contacts Moff Gideon, he says, "You'll never understand how much he means to me." Din Djarin in yesterday's episode set aside what until that point was the most important thing to him, the way of Mandalore, for something that clearly now means more to him than anything else, Grogu, who he sees as his own son. The removal of the helmet was a symbolic gesture of sacrifice to show the extent he'd go to for the child. There is a deeper reason why Mando has connected to Grogu on such a profound paternal level. Throughout all of their missions this season, Mando has realized that Grogu and him have so much more in common than they believed, especially after Grogu's backstory was revealed. Just like Grogu was rescued and saved from Order 66 and hidden away, Mando was rescued by members of the Mandalorian cult, the Children of the Watch, and raised by people who weren't necessarily his kind. A bit like Grogu, Mando was separated from his true parents from a young age. I think that the show's writers are trying to connect these two characters through the theme of belonging and family. In each other they both found these things, and while Mando has been traveling the galaxy to find Grogu's kind, what if where he belongs has been apparent all along, by his side? This is what leads me to think that Grogu might potentially become a Mandalorian, or even a Mandalorian Jedi, the second ever to exist. There is another reason why Mando removing his helmet is so important though, his shifting views of Mandalorian tradition and creed. I stated earlier that this started in Chapter 11, but let's look at how. In that episode, he ran into Bo-Katan and the Nite Owls. He was stunned that they removed their helmets and initially accused them of not being true Mandalorians. Bo-Katan explains that she was of Clan Kreese and mockingly called him a child of the Watch, implying that his creed were extremists that took tradition way too far. I think that this was the first time Mando met a different clan of Mandalorians who did not adhere to the same stringent rules that the Watch did. This may have lingered in his mind for a long time afterwards, and perhaps he had a eureka moment that you can be a Mandalorian who is loyal to Mandalore while also being less strict with your personal beliefs and removing your helmet too. Din Djarin had probably never been told that such Mandalorians exist, and Bo-Katan left a lasting impression in his mind. In Chapter 15, it's very possible that he had this at the back of his mind, and that ultimately it wouldn't change much in terms of his identity as a Mandalorian if he did remove it for a dire situation at the time. I believe Mando removing his helmet could be the start of a real change for the show. He was indoctrinated to always believe that removing the helmet is a taboo thing, and one of the worst sins a Mandalorian can commit. But now that he's done it, and with Bo-Katan's influence, having met Boba Fett in Chapter 14, which canonized Jango having been a Mandalorian foundling, he might be realizing that there's more important things to focus on, such as keeping your word and in this case, retrieving Grogu, and these matter more than gestures that are held by strict cults. So will Mando be removing his helmet more often going forward? Could he potentially be in the process of abandoning the stricter side of his Mandalorian beliefs while remaining a Mandalorian all the same? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're brand new, and I will see you next time. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.